Okay, now I can start live. And we're live, everyone. Isn't that typical of me to have food in my mouth? So, welcome to the water cooler, June 26th. Is that the right date? Yeah, June
March
26th.
117th.
Yeah. Yeah, June 26th. And I'm joined by Patrick and Justin today. And we're going to chit chat about electric vehicles, especially since I got mine yesterday. So,
Yes. And
yes.
it is accessorized for you. It is matched to your color.
Yeah, I Scarlett. I love her. I'm very impressed with it. Um, it's just, I mean, there's some things that could be better, but overall, like I love the car. I just, yeah.
But you didn't get to take it out right away, right? It was raining, so
Um,
you're sitting there under your car in your garage looking out at the rain.
yeah, pretty. Yeah, it rained. It was thundering. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going out. I'm not going out because I'm getting the paint protection, the ceramic coating, all that, window tinting stuff. I'm getting it done on Monday, so I really don't want to ruin the car. Teslas are known for having horrible paint jobs. I think they're like one of the worst in the industry. So yeah, it's sitting in the garage. I did take my daughter out for ice cream in it yesterday, and that was fun because she listens to all the kid music, hip hop, all that stuff, and it just yeah, it's not me, but we had it on very loud, and she's like, "Mom, step on the gas, just step on the gas." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna step on the gas," and she just went flying back, and she's like, wow, that's like riding a roller coaster. I'm like, yeah. So, but that was enough. I'm like, we gotta go home. I don't want dead bugs in the car or anything like that. So yeah. So how are you guys doing on this Friday?
Uh, yeah. Yesterday was my kid's birthday, so
Oh wow! Happy birthday!
yeah, big seven. So big seven.
Yeah, and we're just trying to avoid the enormous mosquitoes that have popped up in the last couple of weeks. The backyard has become a place of refuge and a really nice place
Mm-hmm.
to
As
be.
I'm trying to get, yeah. Look at that. I'm being
Yeah,
like a cat.
and then just when you think it's perfect, then the big skeeters show up. The ones that don't leave just the little dots, but they leave the big welts.
It's like they could pick me up and have me for dinner. Like just throw me on the grill. It's bad because they're like everywhere. I have a pond and a creek in my backyard, and I think they're coming from there. It's awful. And then those flies that bite too. And then there's those gnats that bite. I'm like, oh my God. Like some days I don't want to go out, but I love being outside. So yeah, it's nice and hot here. And well, you guys are staying home too, because it's uh the corona seems to be exploding in Texas.
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot that I could say about that, but I'm not. I mean, it's if you're our community of technologists. I mean, we kind of live and die by science, and so it's not like the saddest thing about it is it's not surprise. It's
Mm-hmm.
waiting, right? Like some of the states that could open early, like Texas in particular, we never had a statewide lockdown, and instead a bunch of individuals who had jobs with options to work from home and private business owners just kind of turned it all down on our own. And so I think there was a thought that somehow that the guidelines were actually driving it as opposed to just individual behavior. And so this is the natural consequences, and that's it's always sad when that happens. But I was actually thinking, you know, talking about
Sorry, the chip noise.
oh
We're,
yeah,
now
but
we're
talking about EVs is I am a Bolt, so it's coming up on its third birthday, and it's my
What
first.
color is yours? I forgot what color it was.
It's silver, same color as my wife's Pilot,
Why did
and
I think it was
I
blue for some
I
reason?
never had a hatchback, and the car that I had had before that was a Acura TL Gen 3, right? I had that car for 14 years, and I've always had manual transmissions. I never had an automatic, and the the biggest change with that Bolt, and I got an amazing deal on it, which is great. Like it was like literally like, sure, why not, right? And the amazing thing about that car is once you drive a car without a transmission, right? Like forget whatever the power plant is, whether it was hydrogen or whatever else, but like it could be compressed air, does not matter. You don't have shifting, and the torque is the same. right? Like, because with a regular transmission, the torque ratio changes every time you change a gear. So when you mash on the gas, with the exception of increased resistance from air,
Yeah.
the amount of acceleration is the same. And once you get used to that, I do not want to go back. I just don't want to go back. And so some of the EVs you see where they're talking about adding a transmission so they can basically make the motor smaller, I'm like, no, please don't do it. Please, I'll take a lower top end speed as long as it's just linear from the way up. And to your point, the kids love it. Like, it is like a roller coaster, right? It's that linear accelerating motor feeling. And because
it's badass.
It's like being in a swing, right? I think they're just used to that kind of acceleration, and it feels like a ride.
It's just now, Justin. You said you don't have one yet, but you're interested in the Leaf.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Leaf. Yeah, so I'm I'm gonna get my garage. Well, I'm gonna get my front house fired up for 240. So I'll plug in the thing, and then I'll just kind of like wait for the deal. I figure something will be a deal.
Anybody's curious? It's watermelon now.
Yeah.
Sorry, we always have to talk about food when you're around me. Okay, I think everybody knows that now.
This is fine.
So you're about to get your install, right, for your home charger.
Mm-hmm.
Did you consider waiting and either doing a 110 slow, or did you have the option of like a table saw plug in your garage?
To be honest, I just told my electrician I'm getting a Tesla. Do what you need to do. Just do what you need to do for me to plug it.
Right.
And he's not here yet, so as you can tell, I'm not happy, but he has me in the book. When you say just do what you need to do, I believe I'm putting a 60 amp separate 60 amp circuit just for the car. That's as far as I know. When you say do what you need to do to make sure I can charge my car, I'm kind of like, I'm not an electrician. Mm-hmm. Here's the stuff. Yeah.
Did you go with the white one? Well, actually, you changed up your color. You had looked at some different colors. So now, do you do the silver? Which one do you go with?
I still think I have the silver. I didn't change that.
The one that matches the logo.
Yeah. So, the whole car thing. That's a whole. Oh, yeah. So I originally ordered a white one because I was thinking storm. What is that noise?
That's probably my kids or something.
Oh, okay. That's fine if it's your kids. I thought maybe there's like a bear or something coming after you.
I have very thin ceiling. Yeah, the ceiling's not.
That's okay. I love kids. Okay, so I originally got a white because I was thinking stormtrooper, white car, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool. But deep down, I really wanted red. But my daughter, I'm going to throw you under the bus, Maddie. She talked me out of the red. When we were at the dealership test drive, she's like, Mom, the red's ugly. And she wasn't looking at the Tesla red. It was like some other, I don't even think she was looking at Tesla, but she's like, oh, the red's ugly. You need to get a white. Plus, when she thinks of Tesla, she thinks of a white car, spaceship, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. But I always, when I started looking at the Model 3, when I spec'd it, I always spec'd it as red, right? Because I love red. And then I ordered it in white, and then I changed my mind on Wednesday night. I actually texted my sales guy and said, how much work would it be to change my order into a red car? And he's like, well, it depends if I have it in stock or something's coming in. And it just turned out that they just got the red car in the exact configuration I wanted. It literally got there. I think it was like Monday or something like that. Like, it just landed. And he's like, well, it's here and you can pick it up as soon as tonight or tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah. So, and I got the red, and the production date was June 11th. So literally it just got off the production line and landed in Philly. So it was really cool. And then, so then when my daughter saw the red, we get there. First, I had to coerce her into coming with me to pick up the car because she didn't want to take the train to go because, the whole Corona thing. I was like, well, we're not driving down there because then there's gonna be a car. So we got to take the train, and you have to get up at like 6:30 in the morning. So she gets up and we go there, and she's like, "Where's the red?" And I'm like, "It's that red." And her eyes like got real big, and she's like, "I like that red better than the white." So
Yeah, it's a fire engine red. It's not a
yeah,
burgundy
it's a
or
beautiful color in person, and then when you get the ceramic coating in it, it's just like it just really pops. So I'm happy with the red. I feel good in it. Uh, yeah, it's some people are like, yeah, it's just a car color, but I'm like, no, it's the car color. You're driving in it for what, several years? I mean, if I bought it, so I'm not leasing it,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna be in it for I figure 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, my Camry I bought in 2007, and my son drives it now. Like I don't get rid of my cars. My
Right.
minivan, I still have it. So this one will probably be handed down to one of my children, one of the three. I don't know which one yet. Whoever's nicest to me. So if you're
Well,
watching,
and that's
that's all
something
I
that's
got to say.
well, it's an interesting kind of parent thought, right? Because my 11-year-old will end up inheriting the pilot, right? And then she'll end up doing, shuttle service with her younger sister. And if you were going to give a car to a kid who's going to go off to college, do you it's a hand-me-down EV or a reasonable vehicle, or would you still want a ICE?
Well, for a college kid,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because are there enough chargers around, right?
Right.
That would be my only concern. Is where are they going to charge the car at? Now with electric vehicles just being, I mean, they're getting more popular. So, and you can pretty much go to a mall or hotel anywhere and charge your car.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe by like time our kids or your daughters and my daughter goes to college, it might be a moot point by then, right? Like there'll be chargers everywhere. So I don't know. I keep thinking, yeah, it could be a concern because now I still do have to kind of map out where I need to charge my car if I'm not home around here. But I don't know. I like honestly, I think in 5 years, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I would expect EVs to really be more mainstream than they are now. I would hope so.
So, Justin, you're thinking about getting a Leaf, and as another potential non-Tesla owner, what do you think about the lack of a charging network?
So in my particular case, what I'm like optimizing for is my house, and my client has a parking lot with like a charging station. So but then I have to like drive the entire like length of 78, like all the way from Jersey to Pennsylvania, where there's like nothing. Which is so yeah, I mean that's it. I'm kind of optimizing like how long will the batteries like make it 80 miles in the winter on one thing. So yeah, that's literally my only concern. But then I'm also like 78 just doesn't have any rest stops. So
Oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, 78's awful. There's like nothing there. That worries. Yeah, that would worry me.
Yeah, like I'm terrible with like looking at my gas, and like when my gas if I'm working late coming back from Pennsylvania and my gas light comes on, like I get nervous because I have to go through like 2 or 3. Like one time I went 2 or 3 gas stations because Google said they're open, they're not, and then one of them it was unlocked, and I illegally pumped my own gas in Jersey because there was no meter.
You almost made me choke on a piece of cheese.
That was the weirdest thing when I lived in Pennsylvania and I'd be in Jersey. I'm like, really? I can't.
Yeah. No, I grew up in New York, so I'm like, this is ridiculous.
You survived though. You pumped your own gas, Justin. You survived. You did not die.
I grew up in Queens. I mean, I was. This is not.
I mean, it freaks me out when I go to Jersey and I'm like, oh yeah, let me get back in my car. It's so like they treat it like it's like the end of the world. Like, oh my God, you can't pump your own gas. I'm like, yeah, I can. I just did it like 5 miles. Let me just drive to the next rest area. Okay.
Well, and I get the fact that they want to make sure that there's somebody in the station, but they don't. Every time I would go to a pump in New Jersey, it was always just the one person that was trying to run the register for snacks.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it and run around with a pump. And I'm like, the station owner's only going to hire one. Wouldn't you rather just sit in the air conditioning? And
I mean, did it really create that many jobs? Because
so apparently, so
I mean,
it
you
used
live
to
in
go.
Jersey, Justin.
So apparently, like years ago, like you used to get your, like when cars first came out, you got your gas at the drugstore because that was open on Sunday and they were used to damn chemicals and like gases. Like if it gets on your hand, you could like get cancer. That happens like a lot. But then we made these awesome gas pumps where you spill a drop of gas and whatever. And every state but New Jersey and Oregon's like, oh, we can just like we made this dumb enough for normal people to do. And Jersey just became this point of American exceptionalism of we don't pump.
So, Justin, what's your reasoning for buying an EV or considering it?
I just figured like, like I'll probably like I gotta redo the roof of my house, so I'm probably gonna get solar panels when I do that. And like I just
Okay.
figured like it'll eventually make sense. And if not, it'll be a fun, relatively cheap you have fun with get a little leaf as opposed to a little crawler or whatever.
I'm in the camp of it's I won't say I'm saving the earth, but I'm doing my part, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a badass car. So it's not like it's the cool factor, right? Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a Tesla. But at the same time, I really hate going to the gas station. Like I absolutely hate it. Especially in the winter up here. Well, Justin, I mean, it's freezing.
Yeah.
And I guess that'd be a nice thing if I didn't have to pump my own gas. But I really hate pumping my own gas when it's snowing outside or it's freezing to the point where you can't feel your fingertips anymore and they turn all white. Yeah, it just really sucks. And I keep thinking, wow, I'm not gonna have to pump gas anymore. I'm not gonna need to get oil changes anymore. Like it's
the weirdest thing is you'll forget.
I don't have a muffler. Like I dawned on me, like I don't have a muffler. Like whoa.
And you'll forget how much incidental stuff there was. Like
Mhm.
your inconvenience the first time you put a set of tires on it, which you'll have to do before you think. Because if you drive, I kind of drive my car like it's got a light switch. It's either on or off. I'm either burning the battery down or regen, but there's nothing really in between. And especially the Bolt. The thing about the Bolt is it's front wheel drive and it's got these real skinny, high energy tires, and so it is they are famous for spinning, even if the surface is just really smooth. But you forget all the things that you had to do for your car, and the biggest thing you'll do is wash it. And that was more exciting a few years ago when people
Really
put a EV into neutral, right? And so there were a couple of early hop-offs the track where somebody dragged it in, but no, it's that forgetting where gas stations are, or the first time you need to go to one and you're in there and you're like, what do I do
at a gas station? I actually want to feel that, like, what do I do at the gas station? I mean, I still have a minivan. I'm not getting rid of that. That's my winter car.
Mm-hmm.
We snowboard, so I'm not putting, two snowboards, and I mean, I probably could fit two snowboards back there, but I don't want to dirty up the car. And when I go snowboarding, it's just there's snow everywhere. It's dirty. But yeah, I just feel like it's almost like convenient. You just get in your car and go, as long as you plugged it the night before. And that's what I have to remember. Instead of the gas station, I have to plug my car in like my phone. But that's not too hard to do. We plug our phones in before we go to bed. I mean, who doesn't?
Well, that's where the charger network really comes in, because not only like the reason that I will probably get a Tesla next time around.
You're using my referral link, right? You're using my referral link, right?
I'll be happy to. But in addition to the fact that they finally have a vehicle that I want now, right? I was waiting for the crossover, and the Bolt is kind of a crossover. Its proportions are weird in that it looks way smaller than it is, and so you get up on it, and it's a pretty large and tall car. Is that I kept waiting for GM, Nissan, BMW, everybody with a essentially compatible plug to get together and say, hey, Tesla's going to eat our lunch. They're not only going
did.
to out innovate us, you can drive between Austin and Dallas in an electric vehicle and overcome the problem of the range is worse on the highway than it is in town, right? The opposite of what you get with a gas vehicle, right? And it just isn't happening. And so
It's
that
not. But I
supercharger network, not only is it available, but the fact that it's a supercharger is that you aren't going to sit there for 6 hours while you add 100, 150 miles range. You're going to sit there for 20 minutes and get enough to then get to a plug in your destination city where you can do a regular, 50 amp or 60 amp charge. And that is the main reason that I'm going to switch, is just to be able to have the range anxiety is real if you need to drive anywhere outside of your normal sort of metro area. Now, I made a joke with Manny actually when I first got the car. I said, and this is a confirmation of, how much I like you, because I can't just suddenly run off and drive to California, right? I thought that was really funny. She did not think it was.
I mean, you still can. You still can. You just have to map out. But that was my worry last year. That's why I didn't pull the trigger last year. Is that I kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to have to map out all my long trips. And then COVID happened. And then I really thought about it. I'm like, I'm not home that much anyway. I travel all the time. So let's just go with an electric vehicle. I did wait to see if Audi would come out with something. What's the word? Comparable. I believe they did, but
not unless it's the same price.
Yeah, no. Like what I was looking for was I wanted the price range could have been a little bit more, but I wanted the mileage. I wanted the same mileage as the Model 3, right? I wanted the speed like it. So far, nobody has that in an EV. I mean, just the 0 to 60, like it's insane. I don't have a performance, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It still feels like a roller coaster in my car.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing, and especially, you pull up at I would never do this, but I imagine
they have the technology down.
I would imagine that even in a Bolt, for example, you could have somebody in a Charger or something really loud next to you, and the light would turn green, and you'd get at least 3 car lengths on them before you hit the speed limit. So, but it's there's a couple. In one way, you don't have to think as much when you drive an EV, and another way you have to think more. So when you're driving, if you suddenly need some power, if you need to move forward, you can actually get kind of lazy because your ability to jump forward goes way, way up. And you don't feel bad because you don't hear the engine revving and the transmission.
Yeah.
You're not hurting the car. It's just doing what it does, right? But the other thing about an EV is that you really do have to be careful, because it will get you into situations, especially if you've been driving for 20 years or more, it will get you into decision-making situations that you're not prepared for until you get used to it. Like there's not, this kind of audio sensation and the rumbling and the rest of it. And so you not only get there faster than you would have in terms of acceleration with whatever you were driving before, but there's not a lot of sound except for what you feel in the seat. And you can all of a sudden discover, that winter problem of, I have a 4-wheel drive. It's like, doesn't matter, brakes don't work. So whether it's, 2 or 4-wheel drive. And so you're back into the mass and tire, area equation. And so learning that part, like you can be lazier on the gas, but you've got to be more diligent on the brakes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want to say I'm learning how to drive again, but I do drive differently. That there's a learning curve. Figure out how the best way to drive the car, because there's different settings, right? Like just even with my steering, there's comfort mode, there's like a sport mode. Like it's all different, and then the braking. I believe there's three different settings I can change, and it's like, okay, wow, if I don't like this setting, I could change this setting. And with a normal car, you can't do that, right?
So
it's like here's my car.
So does it roll up under SDX? Do EVs roll up under SDX in that it's software-defined car? That it's a software-actuated mobility platform? Like you start thinking about changing the experience, just through the settings in the dashboard, and even something as basic as, I mean, not even like shock reaction
I
time.
say so.
You know, it's been adjustable for a long time, but steering, like just basic steering friction ratio, and the way that anti-lock and the sort of mass tuners for the way that the tail moves around, that it's literally a programmable platform.
I mean it. I would say yeah. It's a cloud car, right? EVs. They're somewhat like, I would say Teslas are more cloud cars than ever, because everything comes down from your updates. I mean it's, but just the fact that you said from a software defined car, right? You can configure things more customizable and on the fly. It's not like, you buy a regular ICE car and that's what you have. You can't really change that much. Uh, yeah, I'm
But you
just
can also buy a $7,000 navigation upgrade over the air too. So
but so those software updates, I look at them like that's genius. You're taking subscription base the subscription based concept of software, right? Cloud based. If you want a feature, oh, that's either another license you pay for or whatever, but you're paying for something and then it gets activated. You're not installing like you're not physically installing hardware. You're just paying for a feature to be dumped down to your system or to be applied to whatever tenant that you're in. And that's pretty much the same way the way the Tesla is. If I want a performance boost for $2,000, which gives me a half second, yeah, I just click on upgrade and I pay with my credit card and it comes down and boom, I got another, like my car goes to 3.9 seconds now. And so like that, it's just taking that concept of, in-app purchase, right? In-app purchase to a whole nother level where does it really matter what hardware you have?
So
Somewhat.
what about subscription versus perpetual license? Like, do you I think Elon's hinted that like full auto drive will be available like at about, I think it's like they're talking $100 a month or something like that as an option instead of paying for it. Which do you like, the flexibility of that, or which do you think is a better?
I actually could go for a subscription base. Because so I mean you can look up how much I paid $7,000 for full self-driving feature, right? I invested into the technology of the car, especially now he's increasing the prices. So I paid the $7,000 for the software. I think if he had a subscription base, I would probably consider that more, because let's say I don't like it, I can just cancel it. It's subscription. But now I'm in the hole with $7,000. If I don't like it, I'm stuck with it. I have to like it. It's buying. Well, it's just like buying, hardware, right? It's a capital expenditure. You buy it, you have to like it, and if you don't like it, you gotta suck it up, Buttercup. Like it's like when I chose the color of my car, red or white. That is a color I'm stuck with. I could get it wrapped, but do I want to do that? So you're kind of you're stuck with that that capital expenditure there. But software based, I'd like to see more of that. The subscription based concept. I don't know. Maybe he could do it.
Has anyone rooted their Tesla and put their own software on yet?
I heard it's
happen on like the Leaf or the Volt first.
I don't think you can. I think they have it really like locked down tight. I would hope so.
There's a couple of articles in the last month. There's a shop that's actually offering a performance boost add-on, and it's a dongle that plugs into the back of the bus, and then it basically will enable, and they charge like 60% of what you would pay Tesla for it, right? So I mean, I look at that and I'm like, it's not deeply discounted enough to take on the risk, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Amazon versus Alibaba. Like I will, shop from one or the other, but with certain expectations, but the price has to be.
It's like jailbreaking your iPhone.
Yeah. But no, I think what they're doing is they're doing the dual motor upgrade after out of factory. So they're doing that as an upgrade. So they actually add another motor and then they've built their own box that sits on the side to enable that.
Okay, so they're adding capital to it.
Yeah, the reason the thing was going to ask about the charger for you is it used to be when I got the Bolt, if you Googled, charger install, and this goes to the software question in terms of like, monitoring and planning for your trips and alert reminders that, hey, you need to go plug in your car, and you can enable all of that stuff. And in my case, I actually have a lot of that coming out of the charger itself, the charge point charger. But yeah, you have a Wi-Fi connected device in your garage, right? And actually, it's my only 220 volt Wi-Fi device. But the first one when I called, so this is years ago, the only people who had EVs were people who had Teslas, but they didn't have Teslas. They had Tesla S's, right? They had $100,000, $75,000 cars. So if you whatever the
I
result,
can't afford those, just to let everybody know. I don't have a nest.
yeah, but they charge you $2,500 to do a charger install because it was a luxury
500 to
car.
run a 240.
Yeah, yeah. They were like, oh, whoa, that's really complicated. And so I had to actually really look to find a licensed electrician with a fleet of more than like 3 vehicles that would come out and just install a 50 amp, not quite a dryer plug, but almost. And then that acts as the service disconnect, so you don't have to have a breaker, right?
Why you weren't gonna get like the dude in the corner that that does a side hustle?
No. You want it to be licensed, and here's why. But the thing was, I had to get somebody who would do, electricians usually charge by the hour. They bid the job.
Yes, they do. They can be quite costly.
Yeah. So as long as your electrician is a normal electrician, like how much would it cost to add a dryer plug or hook in an oven or whatever else, and they approach it that way, then they'll do the install. But what's great in Austin is that they'll refund half of the cost of the installation for an EV charger and the charger itself if you have a permit. And so I paid an extra 100, so it was $125 to run the connector, and then I think $95 or whatever it was for the permit. I bought the charge point with the plug-in connector off of Amazon on sale, and so all in after the refund, I spent about $400 on the charger. And so that process of like democratizing normal people charging stations has been kind of slow. So going back to the thing of, whether it's charging networks or getting people to start thinking in terms of like it's a household device, it's not this luxury thing. Like, because the people who were buying, Teslas at first were the same people buying AMG Mercedes, right? It was the same kind of, buyer. Where someone else was more likely to manage things for you. Like the dealer would do things, or you would expect that the service it would be configured by somebody else, or someone would assist you. But now, like that do it yourself, like customizable, are you able to tweak, is finally coming to EVs in general. And I think Tesla's just making that easy to be able to choose those options over the air. But in general, those will be the manufacturers that are most successful because we like to customize our cars.
Who doesn't? I mean, we customize everything. Well, maybe it's just a tech thing. I know lots of people customize their cars, but I think as techies with the EVs, especially Tesla, there's just so much you can do with it. It's like driving your smartphone. It is. Like my daughter, when she was in it yesterday, she's like, "Mom, I can watch Netflix." So not while I'm driving. She's like, "I can play games." I'm like, "Yeah, you can." And like, there's a web browser, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And she's like surfing the internet while I'm driving. I mean, that's pretty cool shit to be able to do that.
Did you drive the X also, or just the Y?
Just the Y. The X, I didn't want to like it too much. I'm going to be honest. And I haven't driven an S either because I don't want to like it.
Well,
I'm afraid that if I like it, it's going to not be nice for me because I'm going to have to like purchase something.
The reason I ask is the one thing that I don't like about the Tesla 3 and the Y is that center console.
Yes, yeah.
Old, and maybe it's because I'm just old and I'm not a boomer, but just because I've got some life experience and I've got muscle memory for things, there are just certain things that I like to have as a control. Like you want to turn up the volume, whatever else you make changes, right? Like there are certain things that really just I think ought to be controls just in terms of safety. And I know the point of that panel is to get the cost down. And that's a good thing because it's putting a car into your hands that otherwise would be completely outside of your range, out of someone's range, right? But that's why I asked to see if you had driven one of the other ones, because it is interesting that their first vehicles were, did make some compromises and nods to traditional what a car was.
I think I at first I didn't like the center console of just like the screen, but the more I looked at it, I'm like, you know what? I actually like that because my speedometer, like it collects dust. If you don't clean it all the time, it collects dust down there, and you've got to like get a Swiffer, and I have to clean it, and like you don't have to do that in a Tesla. It's just sleek, right? At least in the Model 3 and the Ys, it's very you just wipe. You're not in there with those Swiffer trying to get all the dust because dust gets in there. I like the simplicity look that he did. It's just one screen. That's all I got to worry about. It's yeah.
So the digital instruments are in the center, not on your left, not by your.
It's right in the center. Like you're driving, so when it's weird. I will.
Yeah, the Cyan A is like that, and I borrow my friend Cyan A sometimes. And sometimes at night I'll drive and I'll look down like center, and I'll see no light. Then I panic for a second. I'm like,
yeah, it's weird.
And
it is weird at first, but yeah, you eventually that muscle memory, right? You retrain it to go, I have to look over here. But then, so I was looking at Audis as well. I was considering an Audi. And there's just dials everywhere. After looking at Tesla, I'm like, kind of I like the simplistic look. It's just all the dials, all the buttons, and the more I kept looking at different cars, I'm like, I don't know if I like all these buttons. It's more things for me to push. Like if I'm driving, I've got to push this. I got to do that. Do I really want to do that? Like it's nice just having a steering wheel. I've got two buttons here, but they're mostly just for like, if I want to change my mirrors and things. And also have on-demand fart noises because that's important to activate. But other than that, everything's on the touchscreen. Yeah, the on-demand fart thing was interesting for my daughter. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Mom." Yeah, my son didn't find that humorous, and this is someone who would have prior to him joining the military. Now he's like, "Why, Mom?"
It's kind of interesting when you think about like the controllability. Yeah, we see that in software all the time, right? When it's not it's sort of hardware versus software, is that you sort of think of a device by its UI, and if and if the UI never changes, that in and of itself becomes a character of the car. Like why, why is a BMW or a Porsche or something else that is full of gauges and specific controls, like interacting with the physicality of that is sort of part of that experience. But you'll watch your dashboard effectively evolve through software updates. Switches may move around, entire layouts may change, or you may customize yours. I mean, that Tesla doesn't allow crazy customization, but you get a chance to make that your interface in the same way that you would with your phone or something else.
Yeah, there's some customization, but at the same time, I'm like, when I was installing software before, I like some customization, but a lot of times I didn't. From a large enterprise standpoint, you want it to be in the box as much as possible, because when you start tweaking and customizing things and making it, just like the way our company runs, you end up breaking something. Like you kind of, you customize it too much, and then it ends up becoming a headache, because then now you're going to have that technical debt of, we have this piece of software that we bought and we did all this stuff to it, and the person that did all the stuff to it's no longer here, and then you're shaking her like we've all been there, like
or you start with something free.
Oh God, the free ones.
A bunch of time, so then you buy a commercial solution, but then you customize that as much as the free solution. So now You actually have a commercial solution and it's customized.
Or you're running both, right? And you're just like, why can't I just have something that's simple, straight to the point, give me some customization, but for the most part, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, and move on. Like I love software like that where there's a little bit of tweaking, but for the most part, it just freaking works.
Well,
Like
and I love the idea
that's
that,
what you want.
well, I was gonna say, I love the idea of being able to do some UI ML for a software defined dashboard, right? Because you should be able to statistically determine that certain layouts and certain uses of controls are going to be connected to accident rates, right? So you'd have a chance to use the data that you're gathering in the telemetry data about what people are doing in the car at the and the definition of what the switch layout was, what those control screen layouts were, colors, gauge types, the rest of it had on safety. So that is something you could not do with anything mechanical, because then it's kind of you may have data collection, but it's usually just a lot of
It's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same. I know like the BMWs, some of them would collect data and send back, but I don't think anybody has really done as well as the Teslas or the EVs in general. I think they have that. They're more advanced with that than anybody else. Yeah, and fight me on that one. Yeah, like totally. I mean, like the full self driving feature, which isn't full self drive, which isn't completely full self driving, but for the most part, I mean, it's nice, and I do love the fact that AI and ML is it's built off that, right? It's learning, it's adapting to what we are doing as humans, our behaviors and how we drive. Uh, and it's like going, oh, well, you drive like crap, so I'm gonna make sure I don't drive like that. Yeah, and I'm actually I'm gonna be recording an official piece for that for our AZ update show that my team does here at Microsoft. So look for that, in the near future, where we'll be talking about how AI and ML is used for self-driving cars and stuff like that. I mean, in particular, we don't do anything for Tesla, but just the whole concept of it and how that works behind the scenes. So it's cool technology. I mean, like overall, I think EVs, they're only going to gain more popularity, uh, especially as Tesla, they become more affordable for everyone, and then everyone else seems, I don't say is going to drop their price, but then everyone else is going to get into the market because like you've got the Leaf, which is from Nissan, you got the Chevy Bolt. Um, who else has them? Audi's got one. I don't know what's called. um, there's the Prius, which is a hybrid, and hybrids are a whole nother. They're a whole nother ball game.
No hybrid. I hate to.
You still have to go to the gas station.
Well, first of all, it has double the complexity, right?
Yes,
So
it does.
It's more parts, and I think Justin's muted. And it doesn't really give you that, like, it was a stopgap, right? But like once you've driven a pure electric, you're okay. So like, let's say the environmental aspect, right? For me, it was as much a political thing as anything else. I want to reduce our dependence on foreign or oil in general for a whole lot of reasons, right? Internal combustion is never going away, but there are uses for it, right? And it's a blended approach, right? So it's like I picked the Bolt because, well, first of all, it wasn't a Tesla. I did not want to buy a Tesla because I don't need to provide an incentive for Tesla to build EVs, but I am going to write a big check to some other manufacturer like GM or Ford or someone else. And so encouraging them, financially to get on the EV bandwagon felt like a better thing to do. And of course, I think it still has about the longest range, just 240 miles, and still the quickest. But that design is getting a little old, and the push that they had for it seems to be backing off. And Ford is kind of backing off the Mach-E. And so you want to try to spread the EV religion across multiple manufacturers, but it's almost like they're just unwilling at a time that they're watching one particular manufacturer just run away with this thing. And actually, Tesla was the number one selling car type in California.
Oh yeah. Like
Right?
you would think that this would motivate them to go, "Oh my god, we got to get in the game." But it's almost doing the reverse where no one's really showing up to the game. They're just kind of like, "Yeah, here's our thing."
Maybe they're
Yeah.
just waiting to buy Tesla.
Yeah, like you're just like shit, you're helping
Yeah.
Elon over there. Like, did they just call it a day?
Yeah.
Like, I would love it if other car companies actually got in the game and said, we are going to compete. We're gonna show up and we're gonna make something that's really comparable that um that people are gonna want to buy. But the ones that are out in the market now, they're
Or-
not meeting up to what Tesla is
or
doing
even
now.
support a decent car. Like with the Leaf is a good car. The
Yeah.
Bolt is a good
Sky
car.
has one.
And the thing about it is,
I should have
it
got him
should
on.
just be a car. Like it shouldn't be an electric car. To be successful, you should just get in it and drive it and go. And I feel like the existing manufacturers, legacy manufacturers, are missing out on an opportunity to bring forth some fantastic ICE cars. Because if you could push most people everyday wheels into EVs, then you get back to the spirit of gasoline engines and cars in the first place, is that they were supposed to be, transportation, but they're supposed to be fun, right? Like if you look at this logically, we should not be driving. No one should ever drive a car ever. It is the most dangerous thing in America. It is immediately preventable if you looked at logic, right? But so if we're going to drive cars, the point of having a car is it's supposed to be an experience. It's supposed to be really, really cool. And if you had a big chunk of your business selling EVs for people to get back and forth to work and school and the rest of it, then you could do some pure gas, really interesting cars, because you wouldn't have to compromise. You'd have the middle of that market focused on commuting people around, and people would be buying cars for a particular reason. So, like I said, I don't want cars to go away. I love a V8. I still do. And when you hear it drive by, you know that sound. That's one of those things that sort of disappeared. I grew up with it, and it's just a kind of very, very American sound. It's a ridiculous sound. But yeah, EVs have a place. Every other car has its place. To your point, I'd just love to see the rest of the manufacturers jump in here, if only to save their skins, right?
Yeah, say, hey, we're in the game too, but no one's really. They're not as John pointed out, they're not invested in it like Tesla is. Like that was their thing, right? Like, we're gonna come out with an electric car and we're gonna fleet them, and they did. And I don't want to say they perfected it, but for the most part, yeah. They're killing the market on it. And they're making it cool. It's just not an electric vehicle. They're cool cars. They really are. And maybe that's what the big guys aren't doing, is that they're making the cars, but they're not making it cool enough for the cool kids, right? Well, it's just like in high school. Everybody follows the trends of what the cool kids are doing for the most part. If the cool kids are doing, oh, look, so and so has this. Oh, I gotta look into that. And it's, I don't know, it's human nature, I guess. You look at somebody and they have something, and it's this aspirational thing now, and then it becomes like this trend. And we're not seeing it with the big players. Sorry about your Bolt, but it's not as cool as a Tesla.
No,
It's
but
great.
I didn't buy it to be cool. And if I had access to a charging network similar to to Tesla, I would probably not do a Tesla this time either if I could. If I could avoid it. If GM had a decent replacement, and understand that's saying a lot for me, because we've been Honda family forever, right? I mean, the TL was essentially a turbo loaded Accord. I mean, it's built in the same plant in Ohio, same floor plan. But I would love to be able to support another auto manufacturer with whatever comes next. And the idea that like it's just a car, it's not special, that you just get everyone thinking about the possibility of at least for your second car, right? I can see if you only have one car, I'm not sure, depending on how you're going to use it, that you'd still want an electric, right? You have to
I know some people with only electric cars.
yeah, but are they
They work from home.
right? You need to be kind of settled. Like the range thing does matter.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe not. If you're on the road a lot, if you're putting highway miles on, that range anxiety is way different if you're driving on the interstate for an hour, like Justin talked about, commuting at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's real.
That to me would be a normal IC car. Like, yeah, commutes like that. Not until they're so mainstream that it's just everywhere, right? Like you have chargers everywhere. But I don't see us getting to that point for years.
Well, or we skip over that, and what you end up doing is you subscribe to a mobility service application, and it just shows up when you need it. You don't own a car, and what you might do with your garage is that would become a parking charging facility, almost like Bird scooters, where you get a discount on your mobility services, or it's even free if autonomous vehicles can come park and charge, and it would just beep you on your phone, and you go out and plug the thing in, maybe wipe down the seats, and clean the windshield every now and then. And then you're like, why would you own a car? And then the other reason I think that something like that is a likely model is you're not going to have giant parking lots for fleets and fleets of autonomous vehicles. You're going to want them where people are going to have them. So
I have 5 cars in my driveway. So
yeah, so reuse the existing infrastructure, right? Use the home networks, the home grids, right, for charging, and then driveways or wherever else you give something back to somebody who's willing to park the thing, and do basic maintenance on it. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just about out of time, guys. Because I do have a hard stop. I'm actually recording about AI and ML for self-driving cars next. So don't want to miss that interview that I'll be doing. It's going to be pretty cool.
You talk about anomaly detection and
yeah. I mean, it's a short recording segment I'm doing with one of my coworkers, but it's just enough to get us, a basic understanding of how the technology works behind the scenes. It's cool, it's a cool thing, and I wish more vehicles would have something like it. Just like EVs. Like I'm totally on the whole EV thing now. Yes, you should. If you're going to drive a lot, definitely a regular gas car, but at the same time, bringing EVs mainstream, I think, is a good thing too. We're going to help our planet out at the same time, because we will run out of resources. I mean, it's not an infinite planet where we just, it's a big hole and we just have all these resources. We will run out.
There you go, disregarding wishful thinking again.
I know. I watch too many horror movies or end of the world movies probably, but things run out. They always do. So we do have to look at other alternatives. Don't know if it's going to, I hope for it to be mainstream, but we'll see.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, watch you on Twitter to see if you go through the normal experience of, I have an EV, this is awesome too. I like my car. Like all the excitement of it wears off after a year, and pretty soon you're just like, it's just a car.
You know what's interesting though? Like every Tesla owner that I know is not like that. Like 2 years later, like, oh my God, it's still the best car ever.
No, I didn't say that. I said, but the electrification aspect of it. Like,
yeah, that I think for someone who has 5 or 6 cars in their driveway, and tons of people in my house, and I welcome EVs. Like I'm so busy that if I don't have to make another stop somewhere, and as long as I charge my car at home, it just feels like it's adding more convenience for me. So, okay, everyone. Well, thank you, Patrick and Justin, for joining us. This was a great chit chat on a Friday afternoon. Be safe there in Jersey, my neighbor. And Patrick, stay warm, stay safe. Don't go to any bars. Stay out of bars.
Just gonna do another couple months. I mean, we could all just put on masks and wash our hands and be done. Let this thing burn out and get back to business, but that's too hard.
We have to be special. We have
All
to be special. Talk to you later, guys. Have a
Later.
great day. Thank you, everyone. Bye.